Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unarmored Talk podcast. Happy New Year. This is the first episode of 2022, and we got amazing guest today. Susanna Del Carmen is an amazing guest. She's amazing. She's done some amazing stuff. I mean, if you follow her on Facebook, I mean, I'm telling you, your Twitter or whatever, your handle's going to be all motivated and pumped because of all the energy that she brings. Susanna, welcome to Unarmored Talk podcast.
Thank you so much, Mario. It's my pleasure to be here.
No, it's my pleasure. She's actually, where are you located at right now, Susanna?
I am at the countryside of Normandy, west of Paris, France.
Ladies and gentlemen, global, right? Yeah, I got to tell that because we won't say what time it is, but she's so dedicated. I think it's like midnight over there.
Close.
Right?
Yeah, no, right. It's wonderful. You know, I don't live too far from the D-Day beaches, so historically, it's a very interesting place to be and to discover.
Wow.
From the angle.
Well, truly appreciate you. Can you tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Susanna Del Carmen. I work as a diversity trainer, leadership coach, and career development coach, specialized in multicultural and international teams. So intercultural communication and international work has been my thing since I was a teenager, basically. Been working with inclusion and diversity from different angles, but in the corporate world, mostly with international trade, and in international finance administration and HR for multinationals. So once again, we're in the deep international, and that's my, that's my thing. I love foreign languages. I love, discovering different cultures and learning about other people and from other people, and then giving back to my community worldwide.
Yeah, well, you mentioned, I mean, that's amazing. My hat's off to you. But you mentioned giving back. I had a chance to get to know you over the last few months, and I watch what you're doing, and you're really involved in giving back. People see this smiling face. People see you just giving back on a global scale. But what made Susanna compelled to dedicate her life to give back to the world?
Big question. So it's always been a huge value for me, this giving back thing. So what you all should know about me is that I was born in Chile in the 70s, so during the Pinochet era of civil war, yeah, you can say that, but it was this dictatorship that set the country on fire. Humans' life wasn't worth very much. People got massacred, tortured. Human life wasn't worth a penny. So I come from a very complicated situation from the beginning, and I had the chance to be adopted by a Swedish family. So I flew, when I was only a few weeks old, I flew across the world and came to the north of Sweden, not even south of Sweden, the north of Sweden near the polar circle, the Arctic Circle. So I grew up there in the big woodlands of northern Sweden, where everybody were tall and blonde and blue-eyed, and so that's what the social landscape looked like. And then was me.
And for our listeners, just so you know, for our listeners, go on the YouTube channel and watch the video so you can see why Susanna said that essentially she stood out like she used the cliche sore thumb, but so here you are now, right? You're in this place where nobody looks like you.
Yeah. So the thing is that I was aware since I was a little girl how lucky I was, and that I always knew where I came from, because my adoptive parents, they began telling me bits of my story when I was ready to understand, right? So that gave me the sense of responsibility to give back, because I have never been able to forget where I came from. And so I've always been solidary with minorities, because I'm also half American Indian, from the Mapuche community in the Andes between Chile and Argentina.
Mm.
So I've always been solidary with minorities and with people in difficulties, vulnerable people all over the world, not only in South America, but globally,
Yeah.
because I believe that you don't choose where you are born. I didn't choose to be born there, and nobody is. You didn't either. I mean,
Right.
that's, we are conditioned, right? And our communities are conditioned. Some communities are better set up than others. So my goal in whatever I do is to make sure that I do everything I can to help different communities and different people in all parts of the world to thrive and to open opportunities for them,
Right.
especially on the global job market. So
Yeah.
from
You.
people to, established career people, to kind of make the world a smaller place where we all can come together and learn from each other and get better
Right.
and be more performing together.
Right. Now, Susanna, you mentioned, which I think was interesting, and I would like to talk about that. You mentioned that your adopted parents, which I commend them,
Mm-hmm.
they made it a point to communicate to you what was going on, how you ended up adopted, and how this happened, in connecting you to Chile and your family. What in that communication made you go, oh my gosh, when they started to tell you about how you ended up where you are today?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, it goes back to actually to the to my to my grandmother. There's a this I don't know, like some people believe in that, but um, there are some what do they call it again, intergenerational trauma that goes, yeah, it can continue for generations until it's broken. And I made it my goal since very young that I would be the one to break that
Right.
cycle,
Right.
because now for me it was a very good thing to be given away for adoption. So some people would say, oh, it's bad to give a baby away, but that's a huge gray zone, because you can never know what a person is living and the condition that they're
Right.
living. I think that if a mother chooses to give away her newborn baby, it's because that person has a reason that they firmly believe in. And we always do the best with the information we have and the belief that we have about ourselves. And she told me later on, because I am now in contact with her, and so I know her. And
Mhm.
she always told me that that is what she thought was the best for me.
Right.
Didn't feel that she was able to care for me in a good way.
And
Uh,
you think about it too. At the time, you had dictatorship, you had these
mhm.
atrocities going on. I'm glad you brought that up. Good point. You got these atrocities going on. You have things going on with that mother, your mother, said, I hope, I believe that if I make this tough decision, an emotional one,
Mhm.
that one day my daughter will be successful somewhere in this world.
Yeah.
And,
Away
and
from here, far away, in a country where
yeah,
have a good life. She will have education. She won't she won't be a slave because my mother was actually a slave. So you see, I'm not old, but slavery exists
Right.
in the world even today, right? So so this intergenerational trauma began with my grandmother giving my mother up for the for the social services, who put her in an orphanage where she was, well, it's a long story, but basically she was taken away from there. She was trafficked, and she ended up a domestic slave from the age of 5, in a family that maltreated her, abused her in every way possible.
Right.
And so she didn't know the world. She had never had a mother figure. Everything just happened to her, and she wasn't empowered anything. She didn't believe in her own power because she had never had that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely. She thought that the best thing to do was to give me away so that I could get far away from the situation that she was in.
Yeah, what a tough. I would have never known that, Susanna. I mean, from the time I've met you, I feel like I've known you since 1912. But from the time I've met you, I would have never known, that you were adopted, and your mom made probably one of the toughest decisions I believe any mother could make.
Yeah. I mean, you were actually lucky to meet me, because I wasn't supposed to be living. I wasn't supposed. like I
Right.
like I told you before, but I'm sharing this with our listeners. I I came into this world with a backdoor pass. I wasn't supposed to survive long enough to see the light of day, because I came from a relation that was interracial. Um, my mother being of indigenous background, and so yeah, I was just an accident that shouldn't have happened. And so the family where she was enslaved at the time where I was conceived, they wanted her to abort me, but she said that no, she's a firm Catholic believer, and she didn't want to sin against God. So she didn't, although it was a painful situation for her, the way that it all happened, but she didn't want to take me away. So basically what they said was, well, in that case, we will get rid of you both. That way we don't have any problem with none of you.
Wow.
So they beat her until they thought that she was dead, and then they threw her out in the streets. So she was found. She woke up. She I don't know how long. She doesn't know how
And
long
and
she
she and
lay there,
and
but
she's pregnant with you.
yeah. But by miracle, she survived, and somebody found her lying, left for dead in a gutter, and took her to this women's shelter where we were taken care of. And a month or so later, I came to the world. But she was broken. She had nobody. She didn't have anything. She didn't have any family, and so she didn't know even where to go to have a roof over her head. So she thought that it was best to give me away, and I absolutely believe so, because when I see today what other close family members have become, it's misery, it's poverty, it's abuse, prostitution, drugs, etc. So sometimes people have choices. Only some people have a larger spread of choices than others to make it, to survive, and just to just to make it plainly. They cannot aspire to anything else than to just stay alive. so
Yeah.
so that was my big chance in life, that I got to grow up in Sweden, in this idyllic place with loving parents. I had education. I had everything that a child could ever want. I was spoiled. I was a lonely child. Uh, so yeah, I mean, and I grew up in a very close community. Some say that it takes a village to raise a child, and in my case, it was kind of that. Because I grew up in a little country village where everybody knew each other. All the parents cared and fostered the others. We all went to the same church.
Right.
We were really a close community, and with strong and positive leaders.
Right.
My interest for community building and leadership and positive, positive choices in life was largely inspired by my childhood.
Yeah, I have a couple of heroes. I mean, I can name them on one hand, but your mother um is one of my new heroes, Susanna, and you're right. The listeners and viewers are lucky, and I'm lucky to host you because by science, technically, you shouldn't even be here. And
Yes.
and I like how you talked about the choices. I mean, Unarmored Talk podcast is designed to help listeners and viewers understand we're all emotional, we're humans, but to think is a choice. And I like how you thought through things. You didn't go, woe is me. You didn't say I want to get back to Chile and do this and that. You said I want to, the way I'm going to honor my mom, or the way I'm going to honor those who don't have lots of choices, is I'm going to choose to do what I can to give back to those who are disadvantaged. And I applaud you for that. The last question I have for you today is, at any time, you're so positive, but at any time the depression or sadness creep in, and when it does, how do you get through it?
Yeah, sure. It does. Because it's a complex situation,
Yeah.
and there are many mixed feelings. Life is a process. We figure ourselves out. We never finish. And things happen, and circumstances arrive, and that's life. So sure, I think everyone has ups and downs. And my journey and dealing with my adoption and the story around that has been so, it has been so mixed. Like, I have days when I think, oh, I'm so happy, I'm the luckiest person in the world, look how
Right.
blessed I am. And then at another moment, I feel, I feel sad for for my biological family.
Right.
They had to struggle, how my mom was nearly beaten to death because of me. And so so the fact that I was the one that got away, um but not in the traditional sense, right? I was the one to escape,
Right.
from the conditions. um uh so so that is kind of also a burden that you have to wear, like this metal jacket that that you need to hold up. And also and also it's a sense of both of responsibility, as I said earlier, that I feel that it's my responsibility to give back, but at another, on the counterpart, it's also a little bit of guilt, because I wasn't supposed to, I wasn't supposed to be this
But,
lucky one, why me, right? Why not somebody
yeah,
else?
but but I think,
It's also something that kind of follows me around.
yeah, but I will tell you, Susanna, you just my belief. I believe you do an amazing job with understanding that emotion of guilt, accepting that emotion of guilt, but then thriving, right? Choosing to thrive through it, which I think is amazing. If you had to give our listeners and viewers any advice, looking back, reflecting back, if you had to give them any advice, what would you give
Um, I would say just accept what's happened
them?
and accept to learn through the process.
Yeah.
We will never be perfect. Nobody is perfect. We can only try to make the best of what we have and build ourselves and build others, because we never grow alone. We can't grow alone. Everything that has lifted us to where we are today is always because of other people. It's always thanks to other people. It's thanks to other people's choices. Also, we do our own choices, but other people make choices, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. And in that case, what we can do is do the best with what we have to keep the narrative moving forward.
Yeah.
So that we never move backwards, but we can help each other as a whole to advance together. So
Right.
like keep each other open-minded by sharing with each other our stories, our journeys. For example, like you doing this podcast, I hope somebody will take something away from my story and that they can bring them forth in their journey, or think about something that they have insight about that they can teach to somebody else. So I see life as a circuit.
Yeah.
Everything is recycled and everything continues. Nothing is ever lost. It always lives in somewhere.
No, Susanna, we haven't even produced it yet. I think you've already accomplished that just with me, so you can rest assured after we stop the cameras that your goal has already been achieved with Mario P. Fields. But, ladies and gentlemen, you guys heard from Susanna. I mean, what an amazing story. Would have never known from the rough beginnings to now here she is. She's 24 years old. You know the deal. My mom taught me, you never touch somebody's age.
Kids. And it has been a lot of years now that I tell the same thing.
You guys always got to put that humor in there. But hey, Susanna, before I let you go, how can people find you on social media?
I have a Facebook page, Susanna Del Carmen, and I'm on LinkedIn as Susanna Del Carmen Headstrong, where I've added my Swedish family name. And I have also a website, which is www.diversityperformance.com. And there's where you can find me and know more about me and what I do.
Nice. Well, I'll continue to stalk you. I'll continue to follow you, Susanna. And again, thank you so much for what you're doing on a global scale. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we'll see you later and God bless.